In NASCAR, some of the best ways to win a race is finding a loophole. And today, we're going to be exploring some of the most creative exploits and loopholes that teams and drivers have used to gain an advantage on the racetrack. From clever engineering tweaks to bending the rulebook in ways to push the boundaries of what is allowed. The 2002 Winston saw Jeff Burton pull off probably the most unbelievable loophole in the history of NASCAR racing. Burton had to make a mandatory pit stop before the end of the segment. Burton did end up following the rules and making a pit stop, but how he did it was in a very strange way.
We didn't miss something, did we?
I don't think. Steve Park and Mike Wallace have lost touch with the pack, so it's between Ward Burton, Ryan Newman, and Jeff Burton pretty much as to which other driver does not advance to segment 2.
Well, he's got to come to pit road this time. He's down on the bottom of the racetrack. He's not coming.
Darrell, what if your pit was before the start-finish line? You pitted on the last lap, and you only had to jump across the line.
Yeah, because the start-finish line goes all the way across the road. That's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do.
That's what I'm trying to say right now. They're on a strategy move right here to make that pit and just go across the start-finish line, and they'll be good.
Wow, this is either crazy or brilliant.
We'll see here in just a second.
Here he comes.
All right, he's coming to pit road now.
And he has a 26-second lead on Jimmy Johnson.
Here it comes, guys.
How about that?
And what he'll have to move about 50 yards to cross the start-finish line. Dick Berggren.
Well, here comes Burton now. Let's see if that's in fact what he's going to do. It's going to be a 4-tire change mandatory. Frank Stoddard just calmly sits on top of the box. His crew chief watching all this go on. No fuel. Of course, they don't need it. They don't have to go very far. Burton now slow in the left rear. Here he goes.
Ward, Steve Park, and Mike Wallace will be headed home at the end of segment 1. But now we'll have to check with scoring because our monitor's showing 41 laps. This was a 40-lap heat.
Now he's back up to Jeff Burton's second.
Now things have been reordered. Jeff Burton slips across the line. He is second to Jimmy Johnson.
I have got to tip my hat to Frank Stoddard. I can't wait to see him after this race regardless, because that was a brilliant call.
It was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Pit before the start-finish line, so when you make your mandatory stop, you only have to go 200 feet. How about that? There he is.
How'd you come up with that, Frank?
Well, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of stuff to do today, and the clutch is slipping, and we won that race right there. But I don't know. We just thought about it. You know, all the guys got together. We wanted to come up with something different here, see if we couldn't get something out of them, and I almost pulled off a win right there if the clutch wasn't slipping.
It's the Winston. Something different always happens. This time, Stoddard snookered him, Mike.
Well, guess what? Next year, there'll be a rule against that.
Better believe it. So, along with the 4 cars that crashed, Sterling Marlin, Bobby Hamilton, Dale Jarrett, and Rusty Wallace, Ward Burton, Steve Park, and Mike Wallace will go to the house.
Jeff Burton and Frank Stoddard, amazing pace. They came across the line at 45 miles an hour to finish second. You don't see that anywhere else.
Jeff Burton pulling this loophole may have been wild, but nothing will be as wild as when Ross Chastain did the wall ride to claim his spot in the Final 4 in 2022. Chastain made a desperate dive bomb move into turn number 3 at Martinsville. He rode around the wall, picked up multiple positions, and beat out Denny Hamlin, so he would be the last guy in the Final 4 and compete for a championship 1 week later.
What just happened? Watch on the right side of your screen.
Outside over here. Outside.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack to race his way into the championship 4.
He went from 10th to 5th place on that last lap. It almost doesn't look real. He's going
It doesn't.
so fast. Look at this. It looks like a video game. It doesn't look real. He is going so fast.
Trackhouse Racing now has their first competitor that could race for a championship.
How bad do you want it? That's how bad.
I can't even put into words how amazing the move he just did.
not just the move, but what had he seen, felt, or thought, processed that was a move even available? I mean, think he waited to the last corner of the last lap of the transfer race you could hear the engine on the rev chip, and out the window, I'm with you, Rick, I couldn't even process what I was seeing. It was a once-in-a-lifetime, a once-in-a-generation type move.
Qualifying at super speedways is honestly pretty boring, I bet, for a driver. But one thing that is very strange to gain an advantage that most drivers do now is to put your hand out of the window. It blocks the air from entering the side of the vehicle, which creates downforce on the car, which creates speed. Well, Joey Logano did this as a normal qualifying day in the Daytona 500. But ultimately, Logano was ended up being penalized for having an illegal glove, a webbed glove. Logano tried to be Spider-Man, and it just didn't work out for him. He did get the pole, but the next week he was penalized and fined.
It hit, and as we look at the radar, right there in the center of those circles is Phoenix International Raceway.
Saying the car's been very tight, needs to be freed up here a little bit. You can see the wedge wrench going in on the right side in that rear window as they make a 4-tire change to the 88. A crash on the track, Rick.
32 of Joey Gase bringing out to caution, and a few cars on pit road.
I don't know what the hell happened there.
The 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to end up the leader of this race, Steve.
Absolutely. It's important to have fast race cars. It's also important to have good brakes. The 88 came into pit under a green flag condition. They come into their pit stall. While they're finishing their pit stall, you see in the distance the caution lights are flashing. It's already turned into a caution. They're pitting behind the start-finish line. Right there, the yellow line they crossed, they are now scored to that position relative to the leader. Remember, when the caution comes out, the leader slows down. So the 88 is scored ahead of the leader in that situation right there. They go back on the racetrack. People decide to pit. The 88 has already committed their service. They're now the leader of the race. And it all comes down to where they were pitting on pit road.
If they were pitting on the turn 1 side of the start-finish line, they would have to beat the leader to the blend line leaving pit road. So because he was on the turn 4 side of the start-finish line, he races to the start-finish line. If he'd been on the turn 1 side of the start-finish line, he has to beat the leader to the blend line at the exit of pit road.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. tried to do his best Jeff Burton impression, and it worked out for him. This would ultimately be Dale Jr.'s final victory in the NASCAR Cup Series, and it was honestly because of this loophole. He did his pit stop and only had to cross a few hundred feet to the start-finish line, which ultimately gave him the lead, and then the rain came. Drivers are no longer allowed to use water bottles in the race cars. You ever wonder why? Well, it's because drivers will throw their water bottles out on the track and end up bringing out a caution for debris. Since then, NASCAR has definitely come down on a lot of drivers and penalized them for these incidents. You no longer see the water bottle cautions, but back then you saw them very often. It cost drivers plenty of wins for an untimely caution, and this was an extremely beneficial loophole when you wanted a caution.
It didn't go anywhere. I mean, you know, the 6 had been good on the restarts on the top side, and you know, you had the car with the freshest tires that threw the water bottle out the window to get the caution, pushing him from behind. So, you know, that's a tough way to lose it. But Bad Boy Buggies was good all night, and those guys they got to my quarter panel, hanging on the outside there, and I just didn't get to the bottom, and they got a good run off it too.
You need to talk to NASCAR, not me, man. I don't throw the yells. I don't run the races. You know where their trailer's at. Go talk to them.
And is it safe to assume that you think Brad threw the water bottle out to cause the caution?
I mean, it's pretty obvious. They put it on TV and showed, and the caution came out the same lap. So, you know, he told me after the race, he said he never thrown a water bottle out, and you know what that means. So, yeah, it's just, hell yeah, he told me it was intentional. So, it is what it is. So, sleep good tonight.
Winning a championship in NASCAR is no easy feat. But I will say, by far, one of the coolest ways to win a championship is have your pit crew member essentially get penalized, but have that quick of a brain to realize what he did was wrong and reset himself so he didn't get penalized. And this is exactly what happened to Chase Elliott at Martinsville. Elliott was in a must-win situation, and after dominating the race, it came down to a pit stop. Elliott's jackman would leave the wall too early, but he would realize it, reset himself on the wall, go back around and jack the car up. Elliott was able to maintain his track position and not get a penalty. He ended up winning the race and winning the championship 1 week later.
laps Chase Elliott has ever led in a race, but it might all be negated because they're getting a penalty. Over the wall too soon by the Jackman.
Yeah, so we're going to take another look at it. This is those corners. It's very hard for them to see. You kind of try to time it right. So look at the Jackman. He's going to leave the pit stall. You're allowed to be over one box before. So you look at Chase. He's not one box. So he tries to clear it by going back to pit wall, touching it, then running around the car. I'll be honest, I've never heard of the ability. I mean, you see the Jackman. He's a stall away. The Jackman's already in the pit box. So I've never heard that you can go back and reset it against pit wall. I mean, the penalty is the penalty. Obviously, the Jackman had a quick reaction that, well, if I go back, maybe they won't call it. He obviously knew he was early. I don't think that's an option. NASCAR will let us know, but they're calling the penalty on the 9 being too early. So, see right there, I couldn't see. Just couldn't see.
Yep. He couldn't see, and he tried to reset it. NASCAR is looking at it. They're waiting to hear what they say. Sounds like maybe they're okay, and that's why you argue, right, Steve?
Semke, that is, I'm talking MVP move. If the 9 goes on into the championship 4, that single move by the Jackman could be the difference.
100 awareness.
Unbelievable, yeah.
100 awareness, and you could see how Allen was extremely happy with that, his understanding to go back to pit wall.
So now, as they're side by side, the green flag about to come out, the 9 is just below the cut line, 5 spots, but he's been one of the best all day long. No penalty for the 9 team. He keeps his spot.
I've raced a long time, Rick. I've never seen a Jackman reset like that. What a move.
Training and practice. That's what that is. You have to be prepared. He knew the rules. He executed.
You see here, I'm waving. I'm a happy camper. I just won the race. And I crossed the finish line, and I'm waving to the fans, and I'm elated, and boom! She blows all to pieces. It just proves one thing. It's better to be lucky than good.
Lucky than good, that definitely is a stretch. Everybody knows Junior Johnson does not play by NASCAR's rules and makes his own rules. It's widely known that that engine that Darrell Waltrip ran in that Winston race was highly illegal, and it was made to blow up right after he crossed the line. No penalties were handed out as Waltrip allegedly passed post-race inspection with a blown engine. Talk about a way for a loophole to work for you. I think it worked too well, though, for Ross Chastain. There was a shortcut that you were mandatory to take if you missed turn 1 in Indianapolis. Well, Chastain missed the corner, kind of, and he just took the shortcut. He ended up coming back out on the racetrack almost with the lead and then ended up taking the lead. I feel like if this was for 5th place, 10th place, 15th place, NASCAR would have not penalized Ross Chastain. But since it ended up being for the win almost, they had to do something. But this loophole was so wild for Ross Chastain.
Somebody missed the turn entirely.
3 wide, 4 wide per second. Here comes Austin Cindric. Ryan Blaney sideways in front of the field.
Side by side up front, though. Chastain, he's right there. They're going side by side through the kink.
And around goes the 1. He's able to get by the 8.
Unbelievable. Sideways, though. That's going to allow Reddick to get a run on him. Lost momentum on corner exit.
A lot of dirt and debris on the tires.
Chastain went off the track. So he did that access road to get back on track. Now,
I am sure. And all the places you can race here, you were looking for a spot there at the end. What were you thinking?
What do you mean, where?
Taking the access road there and getting off course there.
Oh, just trying not to be in the carnage there in turn 1. I thought we were 4 wide and couldn't go any farther right, and just decided to take the NASCAR access lane out there.
The biggest bad boy of NASCAR, Robby Gordon. He ended up throwing something out of his race car in the 2006 Atlanta race. This caution would ensue a massive crash later on the restart, which would ultimately collect Chase contenders, taking out Mark Martin and Jeff Burton in the process, ending their championship hopes. He even lied in his post-race interview, saying he had no idea what fell out of the race car.
Yeah, we're catching up with Robby now. The back of the hauler was coming down. Come on in here, Steve. Pull back. We got a little more curve back in there. Okay, very good. So, top 10 finish for you. Great night for you. We were looking at some debris possibility coming out of your car, roll bar padding, anything like that going on?
Not that I'm aware of. We had a good run tonight. We broke a diff late in the race and had a shot at probably better finish than 10th. So I'm pretty happy with the run we had tonight.
And we're looking for, okay, Rob, we're showing it now here just so you can get a look at it. Can you guys run it back one more time because we didn't have it right in here. There you go. I'm messing up his hauler here. Robbie, there's your car.
Does this say? What'd you see?
Back it up one more time, guys. We just get Robbie to get a good look at this. Keep going. Keep going back. Back, 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 back. We just want you to take a look because we're trying to figure out. It may have been something you ran over as well.
Might have been something I run over because I definitely didn't throw anything out the window, so I don't know.
Okay, we appreciate it. Top 10 run for you tonight, though.
Now, let's roll it out and check it out. Looked like it came out from the back of the car, actually.
Okay, how did you guys have been lucky dog a couple times tonight. I mean, it was a great comeback for you guys.
Yeah, we had a really good night. We lost. We had one bad pit stop. We lost a lap with that, and that hurt us. And we had a good car. We had a top 10 car all night long. Just started last, and it was hard to get all the way back to the front.
Great. We appreciate you taking the time, Rob.
Thanks.
Bill?
Denny Hamlin was disqualified for his win at Pocono in 2022. He had an illegal piece of tape underneath the wrap of his race car that gave him extra downforce, which was extra speed in the corners. Hamlin's win was disqualified and stripped away from him.
See the NASCAR haulers, the officials' haulers are still here at Pocono, and those haulers contain the 11 car, the race-winning car, or the former race-winning car of Denny Hamlin, and this former second-place car of Kyle Busch. Both have been disqualified for what NASCAR described as a material in the front fascia that is not supposed to be there.
Steve, what looked to be a strong day for Joe Gibbs Racing turned into a historic day for NASCAR. With the less than 2 hours after the race, when NASCAR officials who had stated before the season that they were going to stiffen penalties related to the next-gen car found issues with the cars of the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 18 of Kyle Busch. That led to NASCAR for the first time in 62 years disqualifying a winner, and that led to Chase Elliott being declared the winner yesterday.